course, it's Will Brooks here back on the program. Charles Oliveira coming up, UFC 210, Buffalo, New York. Big card, huge card. New York card, upstate this time though. So it's a big deal. But I got to ask, man, you go back and look at your record. You're 18-2. Both losses have been by KO. If you can remember, this is going back to 2013 when you lost to Saad Awad. What happened in that fight? You got knocked out real early in the first round, but did you get caught? Was it your skill level just wasn't up to par yet on your feet yet, or was it just a memory lapse?
Honestly, I don't think it was any of it. I think it was being content. You know, I think a guy like me, man, I've gone through struggles throughout my life, my family struggles, personal struggles, and when I was in a tournament and going into that fight with Saad Awad, I was just on this cloud nine. I was on like this roll of fights and was undefeated, and just blessings were pouring all over me, you know, and I was just overwhelmed by so many positive things that were going on, and I wasn't used to that, you know, so I didn't know how to react. I didn't know how to continue to be hungry for something, you know, and I think going into that fight, I was content with things. I was lackadaisical. I was just kind of going through the motions. And, you know, in this sport, you can't do that. You know, you get all these blessings, but you have to understand that you have to continue to bring those blessings and continue to get better every single time. So I think it was that fight. I was overly happy. You know, I was too happy with everything. And I kind of let that killer instinct kind of die down for a second. And, you know, I got caught.
Well, you go on and you beat him. You know, you challenged him again later on in 2013. You fought him in February and lost. Beat him and then fight him in October, talking about Saad Awad. In October of 2013, you beat him by decision. So obviously, you get back through, you get back in the right, and you figure out what happened. So now you go on, an 8-week, 9-win streak, 10-win streak? Like how many? Like you won a crap ton in a row. It's something ridiculous.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
And then get beat by Alex Oliveira.
Yeah.
So but this time it's not like a first rounder where you could have got caught. It was late in the third round. Yeah. Were you content again? Is that what happened?
Honestly, it may sound ridiculous and cliche, but I think that's one of my problems. Is again, I've had time to look back on this and really analyze it over and over again, and I compare the two losses, you know, in different circumstances, but. And, you know, this time around, you know, I lasted until the third. But I do believe it was one of those. I think one of my downfalls has been the fact that I'm not used to having so many positive things happen in my life. You know, it's just I'm always waiting for things to come crashing down, I guess, you know, and when things don't come crashing down, I think I kind of find a way to sabotage myself. And I think I was going into that fight during that training camp, to be honest, my coaches were concerned. My wife was concerned with my attitude, my approach, the way I was carrying myself. I was putting the work in, but I wasn't going in with the attitude that I typically have. And I think I was still in honeymoon phase. You know, we just had my daughter, just got married. We just came back from honeymoon. I'm just feeling great again. I'm in the UFC. I just come off a win. I'm just overwhelmed by so many blessings, so many positive things happening in my life. And again, I got content, and, you know, I let my guard down again. But I think this time around, I kind of recognized it earlier than what I did with Saad Awad, you know, and I just unfortunately wasn't able to get the win. But there's no excuses to be made. You have to show up and compete and win, and that's it. And I think I'm learning how to take the good with everything, you know, like how to be in these positive places and be comfortable with these things and not be nervous and, you know, kind of sabotage myself. So, I'm still learning.
So now with obviously you're back to being sad again and having that attitude you need to have because you just came off a loss, but you got a beautiful wife, got an amazing daughter. So really, how uncontent can you be? Like you need to be uncontent to keep winning. You need to have some kind of strife in your life, but really your home life is great. Your practice life is great. You've got great coaches. You've got great teammates. But so how uncontent what's that level of being pissed off and being satisfied in your life, that middle ground where you're still going to come out and find a way to win?
This training camp, I've done a really good job with separating the two, right before this training camp, I sat down with my wife and I told her, listen, things have to change, and she understood that. She understood it just because that last training camp, she was concerned. She actually had pulled me to the side and was like, babe, you all right, blah, blah, blah. But this time around, I told her, I was like, listen, I understand that I have to be a father and I have a responsibility as a husband also. But at the same time, in order for me to have the success that I need to have in my career, I do need to become a little bit more selfish like I was in the beginning, So, being able to have that discussion with her and setting that from the start and then going into the gym. Like every day I go to the gym, I'm not laughing with anybody. I'm not talking to anybody. I don't smile when I come in the gym. I come in, I do my work, I go home. That's the attitude I've carried. In previous training camps, for example, my last training camp, I was coming in the gym like, I'm like 5 minutes, 10 minutes late, like, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Just everything's great. Everything's beautiful. It's going to work out. Don't worry. But this time around, I was like, you know what, man? You have to, once I walk out of this door of my house, I don't have a wife, I don't have a child, I don't have any of those things. It's me trying to grind to get those things. So that's how I've been approaching it. So when I walk out these doors, I walk into that gym door, I'm a different dude. I don't smile with nobody, I don't shake hands, I don't laugh with nobody. I say, what's up? My coaches point me in the direction of where they want me to go that day, and I go do it, and I come home. That's it. So that's been my approach.
It's this time in the interview where I ask most fighters, hey, what did you tweak during this training camp to get ready? Because you have to make little tweaks every training camp, but that's obviously your tweak. It's like, I got to be on time, I got to be completely prepared for every single practice, and I got to shut up and do as I'm told and not play the games, not have fun, it's a job to you. And of course, there's fighters out there that are like, no, every day I go into practice, I'm having fun, I'm loving what I'm doing, it's a great life, and blah, blah, and they're getting a laugh, and that's what works for them. But for you, you have to kind of be pissed off for practice. You kind of have to be pissed off in training camp. Do you have to be pissed off at your opponent as well, or is he just another silhouette in front of you in the way of you getting to the championship belt?
Yeah, as far as the opponent goes, the opponent is always a silhouette. The opponent is always just the opponent. But in regards to me and my attitude and my approach to training and preparing for that fight, it's exactly that. I go into the gym and I wouldn't say I'm so much angry at anyone. I'm just, I have one goal for this day, and that's to come in here and be the best that I could possibly be. And outside of this training camp, I'll be friends with everybody. We can be buddy, and I'll come in and laugh and joke or whatever. But within this training camp, within this bubble, I'm coming in here to do work. That's it. I don't have time to play with anybody or joke around with anybody. And that's something that I had carried throughout my career. But then again, you work so hard to capture these certain goals, and once you achieve those things, we forget that we have to figure out how to adjust and turn things into something else, and I think I lost track of that. So now, like I said, I go into the gym, my Coach Kami tells me, hey, I want you to wrestle today. Yes, sir. I go do it. Mike Brown tells me he wants me to throw 100 kicks, and yes, sir, I'll go do that, and that's what I do. So that's been my approach, but not so much being angry and not so much being angry at any opponent. It's just the way that I've operated,
The one thing that wrestling and MMA and boxing and marathons and triathletes, what they all go through, and well, let me say this again. Pretty much every professional athlete has learned how to enjoy suffering, because practices suck and getting hit hurts, and then that's just the Monday morning. You have to come back Monday night and do it again, and it's like I'd rather be home with my wife and daughter right now, but I have to suffer and go through this other practice. And strength and conditioning, you have to push yourself. I really only want to do 8 reps, but he told me to do 10. Mike Brown told me to do 100 kicks, but I'm done at 50, but I got to find a way to do the other 50. You have to find a way to suffer. The thing is that with you, your whole life has been suffering, and you've always come out on top of that suffrage. Like, there's always been suffering for you some way or another, but you've always risen to the top of it by finding a way to step over the top of that suffering. Now the rest of your life is kind of quelled out. Wife and kids are great, great training partners, like I said earlier. that you don't know where your footing is because there's no suffering going on. So you're having a hard time. Like, I don't know where to go anymore. And it's just the way we're wired. Like, you're wired to be that way. There's nothing negative about it. But now it sounds like the way you explained it more is like it sounds like, okay, Mike Brown told me to go do 100 kicks. That's how I'm going to suffer. They told me to be here at 10 o'clock. That's how I'm going to suffer because I'm exhausted. I don't want to get up at 9 o'clock. I want to get up at 9:30 and be 10 minutes late, but I'm going to get up early to get there on time. That's your suffering. And so you found a good balance in that. Yeah,
definitely. And like you said, like, again, man, I do, and I've never shied away from people knowing my story or sharing my personal story or my family story. But this is and me and my wife was actually just talking about it the other day. I was like, man, you know what? The story of my family history has been nothing but either struggling as a family or struggling as individuals. And I've been one out of just me and my oldest brother who's in the Air Force now. He's doing very well. It's me and him who's figured out how to turn that struggle into something else, to benefit ourselves, to overcome and make it, instead of just recognizing that struggle and just saying that I'm broken, how do I take this being, I guess, broken? How do I build that? How do I fix it? How do I piece it back together and create something that I could say, hey, I did this out of everything? So, yeah, the struggle has always been there. And again, being that I have my wife, I have my daughter, I'm understanding that being a father and a husband is the most important job that I'll ever have in my entire life, is that being the best husband and the best father I can be. And that is such a positive for me. There's no more struggle. So now I turn it into, all right, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to get up every single day when my body hurts, when my mind is weak. I'm going to go in the gym, and that's going to be my struggle. I'm going to struggle. I'm going to look at Mike Brown, and I'm going to be drenched in sweat. I'm hurt. I'm aching, and he's going to tell me to go do this, or Kami tells me to go do this, or any coach that tells me to go do something, I'm going to go do it, and I'm going to shut my mouth and do it, and it's going to hurt. But, you know, I do need that struggle. I need to create that, because that, for me, is the drive. That is what has gotten me through a lot of things in my personal life and has gotten me through training camps and going out there and competing.
There's a couple of fights you go back and look at, and now, you know, you put your whole life story together, you put how you train, your mental attitude towards training camps and how things go, and you go, wow, that's how he won that fight. That's how he got through that fight, is that he's just so used to being in a struggle, that being in the struggle of the middle of a fight in the second round, like, this is nothing. When I was 18, this was way worse. When I was 14, it was way worse. This is just me getting hit in the head. I can deal with this, and you find a way to come through and persevere. It's amazing how your life has built you to be an MMA superstar. That's what's come to, because now you're in that space. You're like, okay, I can make this next step now. You know, and unfortunately, you lost that. You had that last loss. You were getting a little bit of heat because you were winning decisions. You know, decision, Bellator, and you guys have that public disagreement. You get released. You sign with the UFC. You're in UFC now. You're so happy, but you come in and you get another decision. It's like, crap. Like, I can't get to the top unless I get really exciting. And that kind of wore on you a little bit too. Coming to the Alex fight, you know, whether you recognize it before the fight or didn't recognize it until after, but the pressure of the fans to be that kind of fan favorite kind of got on you as well, right?
Yeah, definitely. I think, and for me, it did create a little bit of a pressure that I didn't recognize. I didn't understand it. I was just like, you know what? I've worked so hard to get here. I've survived so many worse things, and some fans and critics and people wanting me to have finishes. That stuff is whatever. What I need to do is win, and that's pretty much what my entire idea throughout this process is. At the end of the day, winning is winning. That's what pushes you to where you need to go, you know. And I think part of me was putting a lot of pressure on myself to go out here and be this finisher and be this guy and that. And, you know, again, this is another thing. I sat down with one of my coaches recently, and my coaches are saying, listen, well, like, you are who you are. You're a natural born athlete. You're a grinder. You work hard. That's what you thrive off of. That's how you beat people. We're not going to ask you, if your coaches don't come in here and say, hey, this is what our game plan is, we're going to try to put this guy out or knock him out, then you don't worry about nothing else outside of that. You come in here, and if we ask you to be athletic, explosive, Will Brooks, to suplex somebody, double leg somebody, hold him down, grind him out, elbow him, cut him open on the ground, if we ask you to do that, you do that. So, again, I'm in this place where I'm giving back control to my coaches. I'm giving back control to them and saying, I'm a tool. I'm a great tool. I'm going to let you guys decide on what direction I'm going to go in, and I'm just going to come here and do it the best that I could possibly do. My previous camps, going to the Alex Oliveira fight, that training camp, I was so focused on, man, I want to knock people out. I want to strike with people. I want to do this. I want to do that. And my coaches were actually not happy with my attitude, and I was trying to direct my own training camp. I was trying to take control of that, and I'm not that type of guy, and I was trying to go outside of my zone and do something that I'm not about. And it put me it set me on a bad track during that training camp. And again, that's why my coaches pulled me to the side. I kid you not, I had multiple coaches pull me to the side and was like, man, are you all right? You okay? Something's wrong, blah, blah, blah. So no, I'm good. I'm good to go. And then when my wife asked me, I'm like, yeah, something might be wrong, that people are asking me, what's wrong with you? In my mind, I'm like, no, I'm coming here. I'm doing the work. I'm here. I'm doing it. I'm doing this, blah, blah, blah. But I didn't realize I was 5 minutes, 10 minutes late for practice, lackadaisical, no enthusiasm for what I was doing. And again, for these people to step up and pull me to the side, I'm like, listen, you might need to figure something out. So, we're
the numbers, but you pay these coaches, right? You pay them to be
Yeah.
part of your camp, right? I mean, you're the friends. I mean, Mike Brown's a friend of yours, but you still pay him to be any part of your training camp. So why the hell would you waste your money by not listening to him? You pay them so they handle everything. You're like, and so that last training camp, you paid them for nothing. You just gave your money away for no reason. And this isn't for you. I'm not talking about this for you. This is for the folks at home and the aspiring fighters at home, so they get it. Like, you're paying somebody to do something for you, then let them do something for you. And even the best in the world get kind of. We all go through it. Like, I'm going to take control now. I want control. It's like, well, I'm paying this guy whatever I'm paying him to do it. I better let him do it. I got to let him have the handle. So it's
right. And I had never did anything like that since going back to Pee Wee football. Like, I've always been taught your coach is a coach. Like, my coach, go run some sprints, yes sir. Go sit down somewhere, yes sir. Do whatever my coach tells me to do. I don't say nothing to him other than yes sir, and go do it the best of my ability. Is that, even if that's him asking me to go get water for a teammate or somebody else, I'm going to do that the best I could do. You want some ice in that cup, coach? That's what my job is. That's how I approach everything. And that last training camp, again, I was so focused on, man, there's so many blessings and so many positive things happening in my life. I got this figured out. I got this figured out. I got control over all this. I'm pretty damn good at being a new dad. I'm pretty good at this whole being a new husband and new homeowner. I got this, man. I think I can take over now. But what I have to understand is you have to separate the two. Like, what I am at home as a husband and a father, of course, I have to control that. I have no choice but to control that, right? But when I'm at the gym, I need to let somebody else control that, because I can't be in two places at once. I can't be separated and spread out thin. It makes you overthink everything. While I'm in the gym, I'm thinking about my wife or my daughter or things like that. Or while I'm at home, I'm thinking about what I'm going to do for practice tomorrow. So now when I'm at home, I'm only thinking about my wife and my daughter. When I'm at the gym, I don't have to think about my wife and my daughter. My coaches have what I'm doing laid out, figured out, and I'm back to just yes sir, no sir, and barely any no sir. Only time I say no sir is they're like, you hurt? You all right? No sir, I'm not hurt. Let's go. That's where I'm at. So we back. I think I've figured out the balance. I'm balanced out now. There was a moment there where I was unbalanced and kind of again stuck in a honeymoon phase, and I'm leveled out again.
That's Will Brooks. He's got Charles Oliveira coming up. UFC 210, April 8th, Buffalo, New York, man. Will, as always, it's great talking to you. Glad to get – it's easy to talk to you because you don't mind sharing, what went on last training camp. And a lot of fighters are like, well, no, nothing. Everything was fine. I just got caught. But you actually you're really good at self-realizing, I got complacent. I got to figure it out. And so you're good at self-analyzing what's going on with your system, what's going on with your body.
I mean, we can't – look, I know everybody's going to say it. Guys, we're expected to say it, but I genuinely feel in my bones that I will be the UFC lightweight champion. And the only way you can do that is if you analyze every single move that you make so that in the future, while somebody else is making that mistake, you've already gotten past it. So now that person has missed that step. Now I can take advantage of that. So the more I can figure out and analyze myself out in the cage, in the gym, at home with my wife and daughter, I have that much more of an advantage to everybody else. So I'm constantly analyzing, even wins, losses, whatever. I'm analyzing it all the time so I can be better than everybody else in every aspect of this whole process, you know? So, yeah.
I love it. Well, thanks so much for coming on here. I really appreciate it. Have a great rest of your training camp. Good luck up in Buffalo. We'll definitely be talking later.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. Thank you very much.